Hey, good morning. Hi, how's everybody doing? Whew. Thank you for being here today. This is just amazing. The fact that you're here today tells me a lot about you. First of all, you're a seeker. You're seeking for solutions to your life. You have an open mind. You've decided to come and listen to me talk to try to get new solutions for living your best life. And you're ready for a change. And that's pretty awesome too. I am so honored that you have taken time to be here today. You could be any place in the world, and you've chosen to spend the next hour or so with me, and I am so very grateful for you. So thank you. Thank you for being here. Can't thank you enough. It's awesome. My name is Stephen Radins. I'm an author. Done a lot of things in my life, and today I'm here to try to guide you to a better, natural, God-centered life. And I believe it's the only way to live. You know, for 12 years, we'll get more into this as we go along, I was an opioid addict. I was addicted to prescription pain relievers. And during that time, I believed that man's solutions would heal me. Instead, they left me broken, physically, mentally, spiritually. My body deteriorated to the point where I couldn't even eat solid food for over 3 months. I was weak, I was hopeless, and completely dependent on something that was only making me sicker. And in my darkest moment, I had a realization. God had already provided everything I needed for healing. The answer wasn't in another pill or another doctor's office. It was in the food that he created, in the healing power of nature, and in the renewal of my mind through faith and gratitude. The moment I turned away from man's artificial solutions and embraced God's perfect design, my life began to change. And that's why I'm here today. I want to share this message with you and everyone I possibly can to show you that true healing, physically, mentally, and spiritually, comes when we align ourselves with God's way, not man's way. Today I want to take you on a journey to help you understand why modern solutions are failing us and leaving us more sick, anxious, and disconnected than any other time in history. Things have gotten bad. I want you to rediscover the healing power of God's creation. Real food, herbal medicine, movement outside, gratitude, and faith. I want you to embrace a new way of thinking that's going to shift your focus from sickness to wholeness, from fear to gratitude, from dependence to freedom. Let me hear that. Let me hear everybody say that. Say freedom! Because that's what this is about today. Reclaiming your freedom to live your best life that God has already planned out for you. God has already given us everything we need to live our best life on this planet. The question is, are we willing to trust God's plan? You know, I want to take you back to a time in my life when I was completely lost, physically, mentally, spiritually, after years of struggling with health issues brought about by my poor diet choices, my poor lifestyle choices, my love of the altered state, alcohol and drugs. I did what most people do. I turned to modern medicine, trusting that the doctors and their prescriptions would heal me and make me feel better. And what started out as a way to manage my pain turned into a 12-year battle of managing my addiction. towards the end of my addiction. I'd lost over 40 pounds the last 2 years. Lost my teeth. Pearly whites are not mine. I had no desire to get up in the morning, but I had to. I was sick. I was hopeless. Finally, I found myself laying on a bed in a hospital, unable to eat food, and every 5 to 10 minutes, my body would start to convulse and I would try to vomit. I was trying to remove the toxins my body had built up over the last years. And there was nothing left to vomit out. And so for 4 days, there was no sleep, sweats, hot and cold sweats, all the joys of withdrawal. It was just miserable. And on the 4th day, I'm still sick. I believe my insurance had run out, so I was being discharged from the hospital. And the doctor who came to do my discharge paperwork was a holistic doctor. And this was a blessing from God that I didn't realize at the time. But this doctor spent about an hour with my wife and I. And at the end of that time, he handed me a sheet of paper and had a bunch of handwriting on it. And he just looked at me and he said, if it's on this piece of paper, you can eat it. If it's not, you cannot. And if you do what I say, you'll live a long, happy, healthy life. If you don't do what I'm saying, you'll continue down the path you're on. And in a year or two, you're going to die a pretty painful death. Now, I was a junk food junkie. I am a drug addict. I embraced alcohol and the altered state. And now I'm being told I can only eat fruit and vegetables, no more alcohol, eliminate drugs. And I am in so much pain and misery. All I want is to get home, to take my pills, put some pain patches on, get that opium level up and that relaxed, calm feeling back. And the only way I was going to do that is if I could get my drugs. And so I was discharged, went home, took my pills, laid on the couch for a few days. Now, I couldn't eat solid food. So after about a month of eating McDonald's chocolate shakes and Wendy's baked potatoes, because I'm a junk food junkie, guys, I didn't cook at home. And I kept losing weight and I didn't feel good. I knew I had to get off the pills. I just didn't know how to do it and didn't believe I could do it. Now, one day my wife bought a smoothie. Now, smoothies to me that's a health food option. It's really not when you get into the science behind it, but it was fruit and vegetables, and I'm like, it's not going to be that good, but okay. But I took a drink of it, bam, blew me away. It tasted so good. It was sweet, it was delicious, it was all natural. It was good for me, and it tasted good. And so I started having a fruit and vegetable smoothie every morning from that point on, and I started to feel better. And I started to feel better. I started researching what was in those fruit and vegetables and how did that benefit my body. And the more I learned, the more I realized that God had already provided everything I needed to become drug-free and to live my best life. You know, up until that point, my body had continued to get weaker. I kept thinking the prescriptions were going to heal me. But over time, the pills took more than they gave. I kept searching for answers. Another pill, another procedure, another man-made solution. But nothing seemed to help. And the more I relied on synthetic fixes, the worse I became. I didn't need another pill. I simply needed a plant. Think about that. How many of you folks know someone that is controlled by a pill or a health condition? How many of you or someone you know has missed good times because they had to eat before they could take their pill? They had a doctor's appointment. They had to go to the pharmacy. How many good times have you or someone you know missed because of a pill? I know many folks. My parents have had to put things off because the timing didn't work with when they had to take a pill. And that's sad. You're being controlled by a pill. And that's the reality we face today. Look around at our world. We are living in a time where people have more access to health care, medications, and processed foods than ever before. Yet we are sicker, more depressed, more anxious than any generation before us. As a matter of fact, according to the Center for Disease Control, the CDC, 73% of Americans are overweight. And I'm sorry to tell you this, but if you are overweight, you are unhealthy. You are creating health issues within your body by having that excess weight on your body. 20% of Americans in 2020 sought depression counseling. 20% of Americans regularly take anti-anxiety medication. 2 out of every 10 folks in America are on depression medication today. And this one just blows me away. 2/3, nearly 2 million people every year die from a stress-related disease. Stress is killing us. And why do we think this is? It's because our reliance on man-made solutions is not the answer. The pharmaceutical industry profits off of sickness, not healing. They give us pills to mask symptoms, but they don't address the root cause. Our food system is filled with chemicals, GMOs, artificial ingredients that were never meant to be in our bodies. These toxins are making us sluggish, inflamed, and dependent on man-made medications, not on God's perfect design. We live disconnected from nature and God's original design. Instead of sunlight, we get artificial light. Instead of movement, we sit all day. Instead of nourishing our bodies with real food, we eat things made from factories and laboratories. Instead of learning and growing and improving our life, we play video games and watch television that just dumb us down. And what's the result of man's solutions? Chronic illness, more mental health struggles than ever before in history, more reliance on man's solutions, and less trust in God's provision. The Bible warns us about this. As the Bible shows us in Romans 12, verse 2, do not conform to the pattern of this world, but be transformed by the renewing of your mind. The pattern of this world tells us to trust in pharmaceuticals over plants, in processed foods over God's natural provision, in stress and busyness over rest and gratitude. But God calls us to something higher, to renewal, to transformation, to healing that comes from Him. You know, sometime after I hit my bottom, I asked myself, what if the healing I'm looking for isn't in another prescription, processed food, but in the food and medicine God has already created? What if my body and mind aren't broken, but just need to be given what they were designed for? What if I stopped trusting in man's solutions and started trusting in God's way? You know, let's say you went out and bought a new Ferrari. You've been dreaming about this car your whole life. And now you've got a chance to go out and own one, so you buy one. And you bring it home, and you're looking at it, and you're like, you know, after a few days, you're driving it, and it's running perfect, everything's good. but you decide to go ahead and pull out a spark plug and put in a generic quality spark plug. And then you drive the car and it's like, it's a little bit different. Well, maybe I'll just change the timing a little bit. So you make some mechanical adjustments and you drive it, and it's good, it drives, but it's just not quite the same. So then you're like, well, maybe I'll add some different fuel. So you put a different variety of fuel in that's not recommended. And the car's shaking and rattling, it's not driving very good at all. And you're like, well, it must be something else. So you change something else, and this time the car dies, doesn't work at all. But when that car was driven and maintained with the parts specifically designed for that car, everything runs perfect, good, smooth. But the minute we started altering with the mechanics of that car and adding parts that weren't part of the original design, things started to go wrong. And as you kept tinkering with the vehicle, eventually you killed it and it stopped working. Well, that's what focusing on man-made solutions to accomplish what God has already designed does to your body. You keep altering it unnaturally, eventually it's going to stop working on you. And when I realized this, everything changed. I was able to get off my medications. I replaced them with natural healing, real food, herbal remedies, walking outside in nature, prayer, and really most importantly, gratitude. I became grateful for my life. As bad as it was at that time, I started to find reasons to be grateful. And you know, the weird thing is, all I did was change my diet to a more natural diet. And I started to have more positive thoughts about life, started to see abundance where I couldn't see it before, and I became grateful for this. And guess what happened? I started to feel better. My body healed. My mind started to heal. And as my mind became clear, my spirit reawakened. I did nothing other than follow God's advice that's already been given to us. And hopefully, in our talk today, you will see that following God's advice is truly the only way to go and the best advice for you to live your best life. So now we can see the problem. Man's way is failing us, right? What's the alternative? What is God's way to health and fulfillment? I'm going to show you how returning to God's design, His food, His medicine, His mindset can bring healing and transformation to your life like you've never experienced before. Because the truth is, God has already provided everything we need. We just have to return it. We just have to return to it. And let's do that together right now. I want you to ask yourself, what if everything you needed for healing, peace, and vitality has already been provided by God? What if true health isn't found in man-made chemicals, but in God's perfect design? What if the key to your transformation isn't something new that you need to seek and find, but it's been here all along? It's something ancient, something already within reach, something we have simply forgotten and lost appreciation for, and that is the natural world. The good news is God has given us the solution, and it's been here all along. God's perfect design for health, nature, positive mindset, gratitude, and belief. From the very beginning, God created everything we needed to thrive. He designed this planet specifically for us, for our benefit. As it says in Genesis 1:29, "Behold, I have given you every plant yielding seed. They shall be food for you. God designed our bodies with wisdom and precision. He also provided the perfect fuel to sustain them. Real, whole foods, not processed artificial products. Herbs and plants for healing, not synthetic pharmaceuticals. Movement and work, labor, not a sedentary lifestyle. Rest and stillness, not chronic stress and burnout. Rest and stillness, not chronic stress and burnout. Faith and gratitude, not fear and anxiety. When we return to His way, our bodies, our minds, our spirits will begin to heal. When I was sick, weak, and unable to eat solid food, I had a choice. Continue trusting in man's failing system, more pills, more hospital visits, more sickness, or turn back to God's original design, real food, natural healing, faith, and gratitude. I started nourishing my body with organic, whole foods instead of processed, chemical-laden products. I replaced pharmaceuticals with God's medicine, herbs, hydration, and natural remedies. I prioritized rest, movement, and time in nature, not just physical healing, but spiritual renewal. And I changed my mindset. Began searching for positivity and became very aware of my negativity. And I chose gratitude over despair, faith over fear. And something incredible happened. I healed. Science confirms what God has already told us. Even modern research confirms what the Bible has been saying all along. Whole, unprocessed foods reduce disease and inflammation. Being in nature makes you healthier. Consuming nature heals your body and mind. God's design works perfectly when we use it perfectly. And I will also tell you that it takes time. Your transformation most likely won't happen overnight. Mine has taken 8.5 years, and I'm still transformed. It took me 2 years just to understand who I was and where I was in life after I came off of the drug addiction. That 12 years stole a big piece of my life, and I'll never get that back. And it took 2 years for me to become somewhat normal again. Science also shows us that positive thinking improves our immune system. It improves our satisfaction with life. And science also shows us that gratitude positively impacts every area of your body. It improves your body, your whole body and your mind. Gratitude is so important for your life. And I think that's why the Bible talks about it as much as it does. You need to be aware. God wants you to be grateful, and He's given you every reason to be grateful. Once again, we've seen that man's way is failing us, and we've uncovered the truth that God's way is already available to us. But how do we actually start living this way? You know, in a perfect world, I believe the Bible gives us fairly specific guidelines to follow when it comes to our diet. It would include eating a 100% organic diet, eliminating plastic use, which is nearly impossible, eliminating chemicals from around the home, pesticides, fertilizers, cleaning products. If you want to get really, really deep on it, read the Old Testament of the Bible. The Hebrew diet is spelled out in the Old Testament of the Bible. Islam has very strict guidelines on what they're supposed to eat and not eat, which is again based on the Old Testament of the Bible. If you really want to dive deep, those two religions probably are closest to promoting eating God's diet. I guess you could go completely off-grid, live an extreme holistic lifestyle, completely indigenous, and you will be eating God's plan for you. So I want to break it down into 3 core biblical principles that will transform your body, your mind, and your spirit when you begin applying them regularly in your life. Principle number 1 is to embrace nature. God's pharmacy is food. You need to embrace nature in your food and your medicine, and by getting outside and reforming a connection to the living world. Appreciate a tree, look at a flower, watch a bee, a butterfly, a bird. Connect with nature on a spiritual level. God designed our food to be our fuel and our medicine. And then what has man done? He corrupted it, right? So instead of real food, we have processed, chemical-laden food. Instead of herbal medicine, we have synthetic drugs and endless side effects. But with God's design, we remove those side effects and we begin living our best life. You know, when I was at my lowest point, I was sick, unable to eat, dependent on pharmaceuticals, I knew there was a better way. I knew that nature was not simply the remedy. It was the only way for this life to work. So I made a change. I stopped consuming artificial processed foods and returned to whole, organic, God-given nutrition. I replaced pharmaceuticals with the healing power of plants, natural remedies, herbal tea, elderberry for colds and flus, St. John's wort for depression. Did you know that there are several studies that demonstrate that St. John's wort, a teaspoon in your tea every day, is just as effective in controlling depression as the pharmaceutical drug Prozac. I took Prozac for years for depression. Clinically depressed. I'm guilty. Been there, done that. And today, I drink St. John's wort in my tea. And sure, I still get depressed. Who doesn't, right? But I don't dwell on it, and I can move on. So yes, I can speak personally that plants are better than pills. I prioritized time in nature. I began breathing fresh air, moving my body outside, soaking in the sunlight, getting that vitamin D from God, right? By reforming my connection to the natural world around me, I was healing myself. Science shows us that spending 20 minutes outside every day will improve cognitive functions, it improves your immune system, it improves the quality of your blood, it improves your cardiovascular system, and if you're moving around, it's improving every other organ in your body. Nature was designed for us. So you can't get 20 minutes a day. Science also shows us that only 3 hours a week outside embracing nature will give you the same as if you spent 20 minutes a day outside. And if you can't get out once a week, you know what? God has his perfect plan. He has a three-peat for you. If you can't get out weekly, you can't get out daily, you can spend 3 full days once a month in nature to receive the benefits God has given us. All you gotta do is get out in nature and appreciate it. That's it. And by doing these 3 things, embracing nature, in my food, my medicine, and by getting outside, I healed myself, and I maintain that healing today. When you honor your body with what God created, you experience energy, clarity, and restoration. And this works every time because it's God's way. This was his plan, to give us everything we needed. We simply had to embrace it. And we stopped doing that. However, it's not just your body that needs healing. Your mind needs healing too, and this takes work. It's not an easy thing to do. But once again, I'll read you Romans 12:2, and do not conform to the patterns of this world, but be transformed by the renewing of your mind. This is something you need to work on every single day. Your thoughts literally shape your health. And the world we live in today predominantly feeds us negativity, fear, and stress. And we know that stress is killing 2 million people in America every year. The news, social media, even your inner dialogue can poison your mind, thus creating the belief in many of us that the world is happening to us, when in reality, the world is happening for us. It's God's design. This is all for us. Fear, anxiety, and negativity keep us trapped in sickness, physically, emotionally, spiritually. And as I mentioned earlier, that's not God's design. It's not going to be easy. You know, when I wake up in the morning, my first thoughts tend to go to the negative side of the world. I go, oh crap, I gotta go to work. Crap, there's some bills I need to pay. Oh crap, I just don't want to wake up. I don't feel it today. Whatever. My mind goes straight there. It automatically goes straight there. So I have to work on this every single day. And as I sense my mind being pulled in one direction, I bring it back. I get in the shower, I let water run down me. I actually sit down in the shower so the water hit me. And I say to myself, you know, what? I have money in the bank. I'm grateful for the food in my refrigerator. I'm grateful that I get to face the day. It's going to be a good day. It's going to be a good day. It's going to be a good day. And I just keep repeating this mantra until I start feeling, okay, it's a good day. Let's go do it. And then I just allow things to happen after that. But it takes a lot of work. And so I don't want to fool you into thinking that following God's plan is easy, because he designed the planet for us. He designed the universe around us. You would think it would be easy, and it is. You eat natural foods. You think positively. You be grateful for life. But it's hard. It takes work because we've been programmed to embrace negativity. And I guarantee you that if you don't bring those thoughts back, those first thoughts that are trying to take you to a dark place, if you don't bring them over to the light, all you're doing is guaranteeing a gloomy, depressing day. And who wants that? Let's go for joy, you know? 24/7. Let's be happy. Woo! God calls us to renewal. Be transformed by the renewing of your mind. Every day. You know, during my healing journey, I learned that I couldn't just change what I put in my body. I had to change what I put in my mind. Have you ever known a super healthy eater, somebody that's always eating the organic stuff and complaining about the processed stuff and it's bad for you and he's eating it, but he or she is one of the most negative people you've ever met, complaining about other things? Or what about the super positive person? Everything is a rainbow and butterflies. Life is fabulous. I love it. Oh, it's just God's plan for us. It's okay. Yeah, I know my car broke down. It's all right. Oh, my dad died, but he's happier now. He's with God. You know, the person that's super, super positive, and yet they're 300 pounds overweight. And I don't mean to say this in a bad way. I just really don't. But as I said earlier, if you're overweight, you're unhealthy. And I imagine that super positive person that you know. I know folks like this, super duper positive, and yet they're sick all the time. The reason is it's a body, mind, spirit connection. You simply can't just work on the body and forget the other two pieces of the puzzle. You have to work on all three pieces of the puzzle. That's a critical thing you're going to take home today. And for me personally, as I started changing the way I thought, and I dove into self-improvement and personal psychology and how our bodies and minds work, you know, I learned little games I could play to keep the positivity flowing. And as I stopped dwelling on the sickness and started believing in good health and a good life, it started to happen for me. I replaced fear with faith. I actively chose gratitude instead of self-pity. And it's hard to do, but you simply must do this. And just like my body began to heal when I gave it real food, my mind began to heal when I fed it truth and positivity. Turn off the news. Okay, that's really what I'm telling you. Turn off the news. There's absolutely nothing on the news channel you need to see right now. I will make an exception for in Florida, hurricanes, in other areas when there's a natural disaster and you need to know about it. And sure, turn on the news for 10 minutes, create a plan based on that, and then move on. The rest of the news really has no impact on your life other than taking you to a very negative, stress-filled place. You cannot be truly well if your mind is full of fear, doubt, or negativity. And most forms of media thrive in creating negativity because negativity pays their bills. Always follow the money. But stop watching the news, you will immediately begin feeling better. You know, God tells us that a joyful heart is good medicine. Proverbs 17:22, and that's not just poetic. I mean, it's science. Gratitude and faith reduce stress, number one killer in America, lower inflammation, number one reason for chronic pain, and they promote healing. You know, I'm saying it's hard to think positively, but I just want to share a quick story with you that our perceptions dictate our world, okay? Several years back, my wife was going to a flea market, this giant flea market in West Palm Beach, Florida, or it might have been in Miami. It was at a stadium. It was really like the biggest event of the year for flea market type thing, folks. And she was really looking forward to going with her. And she hadn't seen her friend in quite a while, so they planned this really good day to go to Miami, go to this flea market, buy some cool stuff, have a nice lunch, and then come back home. You know, full day of events. So 8 o'clock in the morning, she's up, she's getting ready. Oh, I'm going to meet Brittany. It's going to be so much fun. Yeah, we're going to have a good time. So she had the positive mindset when she started, and she left. 5, 6, 7 hours later, whenever she came home, she wasn't quite as excited as she was when she left. And so I decided, oh, so how was it? How was the day? Oh, it was absolutely terrible. The traffic was ridiculous. Couldn't find a parking spot. I think we drove around for an hour just looking for a parking spot. People just kept pushing us. All them bastards from New York were down here. I'm kidding. It was just a miserable, miserable experience. And I was like, okay, did you find what you wanted? And now she had went with the intention of just picking up a couple of aprons, holiday aprons, you know, Christmas apron, Halloween, whatever. And she goes, oh, yeah. I found these 2 amazing aprons. I got a Christmas one and an Easter one and a Halloween one and a Thanksgiving one. And they were just exactly what I was looking for. It was so cool and loved it. And I'm like, well, how about Brittany? She, oh, yeah, she found this other item she had been looking for. It was perfect. Did you go to lunch? Oh, yeah, we went. We had hamburgers and french fries. It was delicious. It was great. Yeah, we didn't have to wait. So let me get this right. You went to the flea market specifically to have a good time with your friend and buy some aprons. You found the perfect aprons. You had a great lunch with your friend, and yet you just told me that you had a terrible day. And she stopped and kind of looked at me and gave me this like sly, I'm going to punch you in the face smile. I was like, well, when you put it that way, I had a great day. And she walked away. But it's our perception that takes us to these places, right? You just have to turn that intention to be positive back on. You just have to be aware of what you're saying, what you're thinking, how you're feeling, and bring it back into a positive place. See the abundance that's already in your life, because it's there, man. It is so there. You know, so what are you feeling in your mind today? You know, and finally, the third principle, we talk about nature, your food, your medicine, and your lifestyle. We talked about positive mindset, changing your perception, keeping the positive emotions flowing. Be aware of the negative, try to change them into something positive. And then finally, we're going to get to what I think is maybe the most critical and the easiest to do is simply to be grateful. Practice gratitude every day, every morning, every night, in the afternoon. Find a reason to be grateful. You know, 1 Thessalonians 5:18 says, "Give thanks in all circumstances, for this is God's will for you in Christ Jesus." It is God's will for you to be great. And you should be. God has already given you everything you need to live your perfect life on this planet. Why wouldn't you be grateful for that? Gratitude isn't just something we say before a meal. It's a powerful spiritual and physical tool. And science tells us that being grateful heals us. So it's not just God telling us, man is also telling us what God has already told us. Gratitude is good. Gratitude shifts your focus from what's wrong to what's right. Gratitude rewires your brain for joy and resilience. When you realize, well, I should be grateful for something, your whole body feels it. You start feeling good. Your mind feels it. You feel alive, like, okay, I can handle this. I'm grateful for this. Gratitude is an amazing pill. Take the pill of gratitude, you know. Gratitude strengthens your faith by reminding you that God is in control. You know, when we allow God to do what he's planned to do, things tend to work out the way they're supposed to work out and in our best interest. Gratitude gives you hope. You know, there were days in my journey where I felt completely hopeless. I was sick, I was weak, I was overwhelmed. But when I chose gratitude, things changed. I began to see life as abundant. God had already provided for me. I simply didn't see it. Instead of saying, I'm broken, I said, God, thank you for giving me the power and wisdom to heal naturally. Instead of saying, I'm too weak, I said, God, thank you for carrying me, holding my hand, giving me a place to go, the Bible, to find a reason to be grateful. And instead of focusing on what I didn't have, I was able to focus on what I did have, and it was all good. It really was. You know, when I write about this in my book, The Happiness Effect, that let's say you're at home, it's Friday afternoon, you're done with work for the day, you're sitting there doing your bills, you paid all your bills for the month, you've got food in the refrigerator, you have enough fuel in your vehicle to get to and from work for the next 4 weeks, house is paid, everything's paid off, and yet you still have 50 cents in your bank account. Notice I said you still have. You're probably thinking, oh my God, I only have 50 cents. But if you have paid all your bills and you have all your needs met, your basic needs are met, you're going to live for the next 30 days. Everything's met. You're cool, but you only have 50 cents in the bank. You should be grateful because you're abundant. You have more than you need. Right? Right? And when you can get to a place and see that 50 cents as being a grateful blessing instead of a needy want, your life is going to change. When you realize you have enough to become grateful for it, and you start seeing the amount of abundance that's in your life, if you live in America, most likely you are living an abundant life and have no reason to complain about anything. And yet we all do. I'm guilty too. I'm just as bad. But God has already given us abundance to live the perfect life. And we should be grateful for that. You know, I shifted from not having enough to having more than enough. And I became grateful for that. That changed my life. It just really did. If you want true transformation, Start by thanking God daily for your body, your life, and even the struggles that teach you and refine you. If you need a guide, I created the 30-Day Gratitude Challenge. It's a little book, the 30-Day Gratitude Challenge. It's really a 90-day journal of gratitude, and it will force you every morning and every evening to find reasons to be grateful. And over 30 days, you will start doing this on your own. You won't need the book any longer. You can just do it off the top of your head. But gratitude is key. And if you need a hand to get you someplace closer to feeling grateful every day, pick up the 30-Day Gratitude Challenge. And I challenge you to do it every day for 30 days and see if you don't feel better. All right, we've covered so much today. I'm going to try to bring it all together for you so we're all in the same place here. We've seen how man's way is failing us and how God's way is perfect. We've discovered 3 core biblical principles that can transform your life starting today. Embrace nature, eat God's food, use God's medicine, spend time appreciating God's creation, in God's creation. Embrace positivity, renew your mind, replace fear with faith, and speak life over yourself. Be positive. Fix that mindset. Do it today. And finally, embrace gratitude. Shift your perspective and unlock healing through Thanksgiving. But knowing these 3 facts isn't enough. You have to take action. Your next step, small changes, big impact. Now I want to challenge you to take one small step today toward aligning your life with God's design. Maybe you swap out one processed meal for a whole natural meal. Maybe it's replacing one negative thought with a declaration of faith and something positive. Maybe it's simply starting a gratitude journal, listing 3 things you're thankful for, beginning right now. Whatever it is, start today. You know, I've created the Balanced Life Daily Planning Journal, which I've used for a couple years now, and it forces me to stay positive. It forces me to be aware of what I'm consuming on a daily basis. Am I getting enough hydration? Am I eating the right foods? What foods am I eating? Am I positive? Am I negative? Am I grateful? Every morning and every evening, this journal asks you these questions, and you're forced to fill it out. If you're committed to living your best life, you're not forced. You get to fill it out, and it's going to help you get to where you're going. When I first started my journey, I used the High Performance Planner, HPX Planner, created by Brendan Burchard, a self-improvement guy. An amazing journal. Kept me focused, kept me on path, on track. And so I highly, highly recommend that if you don't currently journal today, that at the very least you pick up some paper and you just start taking notes about your life every morning and every evening. Journaling has been a critical piece of my sobriety. It just really has. And it keeps me balanced, and it keeps me on track to where I want to go. It's my daily plan, and it helps. You know, 1 Corinthians 6:19 tells us, "Do you not know that your body is a temple of the Holy Spirit within you, whom you have from God? You are not your own." Your body is not yours. It's God's dwelling place. You deserve to be healthy. God gave you the tools to be healthy. You deserve to be whole. Now it's up to you to take those actions to get there. You deserve to thrive, not because of what the world says, not because social media tells you to have a bigger house, a fancier car, prettier clothes, more makeup, whatever it is. You deserve your best life because God promised it to you. As I stated earlier, the world is not happening to you. The world is happening for you. When bad things happen, there's a reason. And if you look hard enough, you can find the positive in that situation. There was a time many years ago where I was just mad at the world. and I'm driving home from work. Got stuck in traffic. I was stuck on the interstate for about 30 minutes. I finally weaseled my way off to the side, and finally I get to move. I'm feeling good for about 2 seconds. I'm still cursing about the traffic I was stuck in. 2 minutes after I get off the interstate, bam, I get hit by a red light. I'm like, and light turns green, and this little slow car pulls in front of me and starts looking around and not really driving, and I still can't get moving. I'm furious. I'm yelling. I'm screaming. I may have even cursed at God a little bit this day. Why are you doing this to me? And almost immediately, my car stops. Just stops right in the middle of the road. Like, holy crap, what is this? I was able to get my car off to the side of the road. It was on this pretty tight hairpin curve, and here I am stuck. I have no idea what's wrong. I call the tow truck. They tell me it's going to be about 3 hours before they can get to me. So I call my wife. I say, hey, I'm stuck here, going to be here for a while. She's like, oh, that's good. I'm going to take the rest of the afternoon off. I'll come over and pick you up, and we can wait for the tow truck. Okay, cool, whatever. She comes over, and for the next 2 hours, we just had the best time, just hanging out, just the two of us on the side of the road, laughing and complaining about life. It was a great day. Finally, the tow truck arrives, shows up, takes my truck in. They call me the next morning and say, okay, we fixed 2 recall issues that you needed to have done. I didn't even know I had these recall issues. All the work that needed to be done to replace your car back to working order is all covered under warranty. You have $100 fee for whatever it was. I don't remember what it was, but it was only going to cost me $100. Should have cost me several thousand. So I was very grateful for this. But that shows us that even when bad things happen, something good can come out of it. And maybe that day it was God's plan for the truck to break down so that my wife and I could reconnect in a way we hadn't been able to for such a long time. It was a gift from God, my car breaking down. And it's hard to think that at the time, and of course I didn't think that at the time, but a few days later, as I reevaluated my life a little bit and said, what the heck just happened? I realized that God gave me an opportunity that my wife and I had wanted, and we had no way to put it together. This accomplished that goal. It's so cool, so cool. So today, I want you to embrace the saying that the world is happening for me. In fact, say it out loud. The world is happening for me, not to me. Because it is. I invite you to reject man's broken way and embrace God's perfect design, to nourish your body, renew your mind, and strengthen your spirit, to trust that God has already given you everything you need because he has. You have to ask yourself, are you ready to receive it? And as we come to the end of our journey together, I want you to remember one powerful truth. God has already given you everything you need. You don't have to rely on man-made solutions that leave you empty, sick, and searching. You were designed by God for a purpose, with everything required for health, joy, and fulfillment already provided in his creation. And the key to unlocking his truth lies in trusting him. Is simply having faith that God is providing everything you need because he has. Look out the window. The proof is right there. You don't have to rely on man-made solutions that leave you empty and sick. God's promise is he will always provide, and he already has shown us that. So often we worry about our health, our future needs, stress over daily wants and issues and stresses. But I want you to remember just one verse. And if you only take one verse away from me today, I want you to take this, because this verse has guided me for the last 8 years and reminds me that God's going to take care of me. It's Matthew 6:26. Look at the birds of the air. They neither sow nor reap nor gather into barns, and yet your heavenly Father feeds them. Are you not of more value than they? And so today, every time I see a bird fly by and it's got a stick in its mouth, or it's carrying a piece of food, or I see a squirrel with a nut in its mouth and it's running, trying to hide that squirrel, I am reminded of Matthew 6:26 and God's promise that if he's taking care of the birds, he's going to take care of us. And that's pretty awesome. So if you're looking for a hand to hold, look to nature. And when you see a bird fly by with a piece of food in his mouth, remember, God is going to take care of you just like he's taking care of that bird. And if God will take care of that bird, how much more will he take care of you? He has already provided nourishment in real, whole foods called plants. He has already provided healing in nature's plants and what we might call folk remedies. These are ancient remedies that have been passed down since the beginning of time. And they work. We've just forgotten that because we've been led astray by man-made solutions. And all God asks in return for your faith is that you trust him and take action and believe. Believe in yourself, as God already does. Many of us have spent years believing the lies, myself included, lies that tell us that we're too broken, too far gone, too weak to change. Plants can't fix you, only pills can. But remember this, God does not create failures. God creates perfection. And he created our life perfectly. And all the tools we need to live a perfect life, he has already given to us. In Philippians 4:13, I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me. And in Jeremiah 29:11, for I know the plans I have for you, declares the Lord. Plans to prosper you and not to harm you. Plans to give you hope and a future. These two verses sum up everything I've said. Believe that God has already provided everything you need for perfect health, whether it be mentally, physically, or spiritual health. God has given you the tools to maintain perfect health. You are stronger than you think. You are more capable than you believe. And most importantly, you are never alone in this journey. When you step forward in faith, God will guide you, strengthen you, and provide you for every step of the way. The power of gratitude is your key to abundance. And if there's one thing I want you to take away from this today, it is that gratitude changes everything. It changes how you see your struggles. It changes how you experience life. It changes how you receive God's blessings. Gratitude changes everything. Give thanks in all circumstances, for this is God's will for you in Christ. A joyful heart is good medicine, but a crushed spirit dries up the bones. When you wake up tomorrow morning, before you do anything else, pause and thank God. Thank him for your breath. Thank him for your body. I don't care what state it's in. Thank him that you're still here and you still have a shot. Thank him for the opportunity to grow, heal, become stronger. Thank God for nature and his perfect creation. Now the choice is yours. Will you continue down the path the world has set for you, one of sickness, stress, and synthetic solutions? Or will you step into God's perfect design, nourishing your body, renewing your mind, and embracing the peace he promised naturally? Eat something whole and natural. Fuel your body with God's creation. Believe in a positive world. Declare healing, strength, and abundance in your life. Start a gratitude habit. Write down 3 things you're thankful for. Right now, do it. Because small, faith-filled steps lead to life-changing transformation. God has already provided everything you need. The only question is, are you ready to receive it? I'd like to close with a prayer. Father, we thank you for your perfect design. Thank you for the nourishment of the earth, the wisdom of your word, and the strength you place within us. Help us to trust in your provision, to believe in the power you've given us, and to live in gratitude every single day. May we walk in faith, rejecting the world's broken ways and embracing the abundant, healthy, and joyful life you have already created for us. In Jesus' name, amen.